And they're taken long enough, but they've reopened. They're accepting cases online now. I mean, Labour's been in now since sort of like the end of summer, the start of autumn. It can't. It must be. I mean, it's got to have been. Well, we can check when the elections were, but it's been a while now. It's been well over a few months. Took a long time to get a new committee sorted out and established, and open the website back up. I put a few requests through to number 10 on the number 10 web form and asked them to be referred to the petitions committee. And I said I wanted a section on this petition site here that actually has the legislation by which this runs by and what we use. Why not? I mean, you can look at the law anyway, but these people like Starmer who work in the Crown Prosecution, like the Crown Prosecution Service website. I mean, the Crown Prosecution website itself gives you all the rules and procedures. It tells you all about assisting offenders, many things. Now, you could say, we don't give legal advice. Well, you can't really say that the Crown Prosecution Service is not giving legal advice. It's pretty much telling you most of its procedures and regulations and its own rules, much of which are based around the criminal procedure rules. It's very transparent. If they followed those rules all the time, it would be something. I mean, look at the Westminster Magistrates Court case. I mean, they had all the available evidence and information. It was filmed by multiple people and the police. I mean, they couldn't have needed any more information than that. They didn't lay any information. I put those complaints through anyway that, maybe like it's legally privileged. The signs and notices which were used are legally privileged because they're advertising a cause for Parliament, which has had debates in Parliament and MPs representing it as well, the Stop ULEZ cause. So now, anyway, the petitions committee. Well, what I was saying is the Crown Prosecution Service took absolutely ages, and then they had several court hearings or case management, and they still hadn't laid evidence or provided it. You're meant to provide it within a certain amount of time, really, or you broke the rules, you haven't followed them. And if you don't provide it, you're going to come out with a really good reason or excuse if you're the one who brought the prosecution against some persons and you haven't brought the evidence within the time, then it seems like you're messing around. And it's only a summary as well, remember, it's not an indictment. And you only get 6 months anyway for summary or something like that. And I know that anyway because I remember from when I was in, but mine was either way, like summary or indictment. But if you go summary, then I don't see why you're not subject to summary rules, because if you take 12 months, right, and you're rumming and ahhing whether you're going to treat it summary or indictment, and then you only treat it summary, then you might end up asking, well, you're toying with the possibility of, it being an indictment and toying with the possibility of it being longer than 6 months, but then you end up going with summary, so it can't have been that serious all along, and then you end up only having a summary, and then it goes longer than 6 months. And then to get them out of trouble for that, they say to me, they ask me, hello, sir, how would you like this treated, summary or indictment? Well, I would have, if you'd have asked me that at the start, then I could have said, well, I'll have it summary, and by the way, you're out of time. So, this is the thing. They're asking me, I get to choose whether it's summary or indictment. I thought the police decided whether they're going to indict me or not. I was stood there deciding whether I'm going to indict myself or not, right? When actually I had a civil hearing to say, excuse me, I can't be prosecuted, if the actual district judge actually knew anything. Well, one of them knew something, or else I wouldn't have got the hearing. It would have been impossible. They would have just laughed at me and said that I was talking absolute tosh, which I wasn't. I got the hearing, and if I'd known what I know now, I'd have walked out of that hearing without a trial, because, it is undeniable. But anyway, we're talking about amount of time for the prosecution. One of the defendants, because they didn't have enough evidence at the first hearing, his duty solicitor got it withdrawn straight away. So, like, if he can get it withdrawn because there's not enough evidence straight away, then surely why didn't the other solicitor who was dealing with the other 4 people get it withdrawn straight away as well? Because they ain't got enough evidence. The mind boggles. It seems rather ridiculous. So anyway, why did I even get onto that subject when I'm talking about the Petitions Committee? Well, because they took absolutely ages in getting the committee running from between the sessions of Parliament, from the end of Parliament to the start of Parliament. If they haven't changed anything on the website, I don't know what took them so long to put the committee together and decide who was on it. You're supposed to get straight into this thing in electing and voting for new committees. Anyway, so this is up and running now. I've gone a long way around talking about it. I was checking actually sort of periodically, looking at the Petitions Committee, and I noticed that it hadn't been open. And because I noticed it wasn't open yet, it made me more curious about, paying attention to when it did open, or else I wouldn't have kept checking all the time. Because, you can use change.org or petitions.net or, 38 degrees, although I've fallen out with 38 degrees at the moment. Which actually, that's an issue that needs sorting out with the jurisdiction of Parliament. Whether they can steal evidence which is legally privileged items of information. Can a third party take away your legal work from you when you're meant to be pursuing it to authority? Anyway, so yesterday, which was the 2nd of November, apparently the Petitions Committee had reopened about 3 days prior. So I'm looking at it seems like they opened it back up on Halloween or around Halloween, if not the evening before Halloween or the day before Halloween or on Halloween, around that time. So basically just at the end of October they opened it. And so therefore, including today, it's been up about 4 or 5 days now. I think this might even be the 4th day, because yesterday it was 3 days. So it's been up 4 days. And I know that most people know that it's closed, so they haven't gone to look. So you're only getting people who are incidentally checking, or the off chance of it being reopened. And obviously there can't be any petitions on there unless they've collected the 5 signatures and been approved to run. So, yesterday, this is like when the conversation really starts, what I wanted to get onto talking to. So, as from yesterday, there were only 6 petitions on there. So, in 3 days, they've only checked and approved 6 petitions. So, there's only 6 on there. So, either it's taken them 3 days to approve 6, or not that many people have really noticed that it's opened again. But let's have a look. How many rejected? There's only 1 rejected petition currently on there. Although it should say rejected petitions since the website ever started, shouldn't it? But I don't know if they're unarchived or previously rejected or what. But anyway, there's only 1 rejected petition so far. Rejoin the European Union. Right, there's already someone petitioning about that. That's the excuse, right? But the thing is, surely every person can have their... Right, so about this rejected petition for rejoining the EU, this is all a persistent subject. We've already had a referendum on this. The country already they were given a referendum on it, and we voted to leave Europe, right? So we've had our opportunity. I mean, if you can't ask the entire country and then come out with a decision, it's not like it was one political party or the other. I mean, that's a fair ask, that. But this subject is persistent and keeps coming back again. It's almost like the Scottish will to persistently pursue leaving England completely and separating from Great Britain, Scotland becoming completely independent. There's always a fraction of the Scottish people who want to leave, like Nicola Sturgeon or whatever. Alex Salmon has passed away now, unfortunately. But I mean, I don't want to divide from Scotland. But didn't they have a referendum on it and they decided not to? but you've got these people who are persistently going on about it. Now, the thing about this rejected petition is this, right? You're collecting evidence of public concern, right? You're collecting evidence of public concern. These petitions don't provide for much writing. They're extremely limited on your complaint and how you show up to justify evidence, to justify them debating it and even proving the case in your favour, right? Now you get 2 short paragraphs, and I'm sure the second paragraph was a little bit longer. They've even reduced that, and the title is even shorter, right? Now, this is the thing. If we read all the petition archives from Parliament, like the historic ones which have been transcribed, to get an idea of what's actually, what the whole thing's about, right? A lot of those petitions are about private companies and businesses, a little bit like that they've now got lobbying for private companies and businesses, but some touch on taxes, like Laura Corrigan's petition for tampon tax, though, I suppose. Now, the thing is, with these rejected, they don't let people run the same petition. I can see that if they've got a petition about Europe, right, like this, Rejoin Europe, and it's live on there and it's searchable and you can sign it, right, and if someone's doing it and you want to ask for the same thing, then you could just sign their petition and help share their petition because they're asking for the same thing, right? Now, the only thing about that, though, is whatever evidence they have written on here, right, whatever evidence and facts they have written on here, this is going to be their evidence, right? And even if you get 100,000 signatures or 200,000 signatures or 300,000 and it's debated in a committee, they are the person who's going to receive an email saying they're invited in to sit in the thing, unless everyone who signed it gets an email, and you might be able to turn up then. Like Tess Lowry is seen sat at the side of the committee when she's having the debate that she got, right? Okay. If you opted to receive emails about it and you're keenly following it, then I'm not sure if you are a person who signed it on the list, you might be able to go in there and sit there like with the person who started it, like Tess Lowry, right? But I doubt that as someone who signed it, you can give more evidence, unless you email the petitions committee and say, oh, you're debating this on this day or that day, and I'm submitting some more evidence because I know it's going to be debated, and you email one of the MPs, who isn't always guaranteed to respond to you if you're not in their constituency, and you don't know whether they're going to take these things seriously or not, even when you email them, particularly when you never hardly get any emails back from them. But you're not, if you're just a person who signed it, unless you make the effort to contact Parliament and you've noticed that it's flagged for debate, it's unlikely that they're going to summon you, right? Not that, many people can get to London or afford to go into London now, that it costs a bomb to get there if you're not driving, and if you are driving, it costs even more. This is the thing. And most people have got grievances with Parliament, and they don't like the politicians anyway, even if they did go in there and turn up, I probably would have gone, at the stage when I was driving, I could get around. I was a competent traveller around the country, a confident, competent traveller who was out and about at large around the country, in and out of various, you name it, I've been there. I probably would have gone in, like 2019, 2014, 2015. I probably would have gone in, right? I was knocking around. I had to go turn up at court. I don't like going to court. I don't like courts, but I had to go there. A couple of times I didn't go, even when I was summoned, because I didn't believe that they had jurisdiction. Well, I don't think they had jurisdiction, right? But, I was making effort. I was going to the Crown Prosecution Service, I was going to the Crown Prosecution Service at Leeds, I wanted to try to speak to people, I want to speak about my case with you that you're dealing with, I'm going to tell you some legislation, explain some legal principles to you, I'm not going to argue with you, but then when they won't hear you, won't see you, won't speak to you, You know, I was in Leicester. I went to Leicester CPS unit, posting letters, dropping off, make sure it definitely got there on the day. Oh, I'm going to, Ashby-Dill's Hooch. I might as well bob into the centre of Leicester City. Might as well post these important, serious documents in through the Crown Prosecution Service post box. Big post box. You open the sliding thing, big chute. Slide it down the chute or whatever inside of the building. Even go in there, knock on there, like knock, 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 knock. Press the button with the glass, bulletproof glass. Oh, can you see someone? No, you can see someone. It's got a reception area. Look at this. Press the button like at the post office. Wait about 20 minutes or maybe even 3/4 of an hour, and some young Asian lady turns up. With a very almost looks like some kind of phantom or something, like deadly serious face, like, oh, hello, I'm here to speak about my case with someone, please, like, you can't see someone, you can't talk to anyone. It's like, no, it's innocent until proved guilty. I don't have to walk through this door as an enemy of the state. I'm here to simply deliver documents and give legislation here saying I'm acting under jurisdiction of Parliament in a legal case. There's no intervention. Get the law out. Sit next to me. We'll go through this law. I can assure you. I'm no foe. I'm no foe of the state. I'm acting on behalf of the citizens, of the people. But no. It's like we can't have any of that business. So and then you get that what do you call him, guy at Leeds, whatever, fobbing off about his, Crayola on the pavement or whatever, his test cases, his Crayola cases on the pavement or whatever, his criminal damage cases or whatever. And that actually, I think that has got something to do with them bringing that new law in, about the separating defacement from criminal damage. It could actually, that case might have played a pivotal role in them bringing that law in, actually, that 2007 Act. I know that Act, actually, is at the same time Starmer started working for the CPS, funnily enough, when he was pro bono. That's the time when that legislation came in, actually, about signs and banners being used, when he got the job. He was working on that case with that guy climbing up that thing with that sign. But that definitely has got a lot to do with that Crayola case as well. Down in wherever it was, Southwestern, where they were proud of prosecuting someone for using crayons on the pavement or road or whatever. But anyway, not that I'm saying that it could be dangerous if someone Crayolas the street and then they slam the brakes on and then they go sliding around, but I don't think it was that serious. I think it might have been like, I don't think it was in the middle of the road. I think it was more like some kind of pedestrian area or mosaic or on the promenade or something like that. I don't know, something. It's got to be more. I think it might have even been in chalk. It might not have been Crayola. I don't think it was wax either. I think it might have been chalk or something. But anyway, they don't want to talk to you anyway. Even though it's your. You've been charged. You're charged with powers. You're charged. That's it. You're all in. So you better use those powers now to defend yourself, if there's any evidence that exists out there which may prove your innocence, then you better ask the judge, for a warrant, to go get it, if you know how to make use of the courts. So much like Thomas Erskine May, usage of Parliament, usage of the courts. Westminster Magistrates Court, 18 case management sessions later, the CPS finally turned up with some evidence. They might have needed multiple warrants to try and find evidence. Although it was filmed by about 8 different people from every possible angle possible, Anyway, evidence. So this is the thing. If one person submits a case to Parliament to rejoin EU, they might have particular evidence which is valuable or useful in their complaint. And the thing is, by preventing anyone else from starting a petition which is the same matter, you're preventing other plaintiffs from bringing a case with new or additional different evidence about something, right? Now, if this had have been in the 1640s or even the 1800s, right, 1810 or whatever, right, If a gentleman in Clacton-on-Sea sends a petition into Parliament with a writ and it's got certain particular information on it, right, about, even if it was, they didn't have the EU then, but, I don't know about trading with France or something like, the wine trade in France. And then someone in, Aberystwyth sends a petition into Parliament about, the trading with France on ships. They're both going to have different information or evidence. So it's not just about how many people have signed it, in fact, the evidence is one of the major or important parts of it. So by rejecting, how, if someone in Clacton-on-Sea submits a petition, about the French wine trade, rates and tax, how does anyone know that that petition has been submitted when they're in Aberystwyth? They don't. And really, the Petitions Committee are supposed to do this amalgamation thing where they gather it together, and obviously once they've got so much, it's given. This principle is actually used, right, in Theresa Villiers' ULEZ debate in the committee. Theresa Villiers and Gareth Johnson and several other Conservative MPs, and I think there was only one Labour MP, right? I just watched it the other day. The petition, they were debating two petitions. They were debating two petitions about Stop ULEZ, and one of the MPs, even though they were only debating two petition numbers, one of the other MPs gave evidence of a third petition as part of his evidence, right? So there's two being debated officially, and a third is giving evidence around the same subject. So how can you not run it if there's one on the same subject? If Theresa Villiers, MP, who also held various other senior roles in government while she was in there, she's not in there now. Neither is Gareth Johnson, but they were debating two petitions on Stop ULEZ, two different ones, with a third giving us evidence. So how can you reject a petition on the same subject? Now, I don't support leaving the EU, right? I'm sick of hearing about the EU, to be honest. I don't want to hear about it anymore. If we hadn't have had a referendum on it, right? If the MPs had just decided to leave the EU and then join it again, and then leave it again, and then join it again in different governments, if Rishi Sunak would have left the EU and then Keir Starmer join it again, then, I won't mind if someone was petitioning about it for a referendum, but we've actually had a referendum. So this person who's persistently doing this, I don't think that this petition should have been rejected, but the thing is, firstly, we're not really allowed to give that much evidence or information on there, so they're not really excluding evidence. You can try. I've tried to put evidence on there, links or information or whatever. You can try. Sometimes you get it on there. They're actually trying to keep proper, useful information out until it gets debated, but that's what compels someone to sign it. Because if you want someone to sign something, it's not only that they agree that we should leave the EU, but they should know why we should or should not leave the EU and why they support it. Which is, you've got a legal right to see the complaint, basically, before you sign it, which they're not doing now because they're not even letting, when you share it online until it's activated, you can't even really see what you're signing. You do get it in the email, but people don't know that. They're that dumb that it's like, I can't see what it says, so I'm not signing it. They think that when they've signed it, and they've signed it without knowing what it's about. They don't realise that they get an email, then they read what it's about, and then they finalise it by clicking the link. They're just... People who are familiar with the process know that, but people who aren't. And I think that it is straightforward, but it's straightforwardly misleading. It's just got it's almost like a fail-safe thing, it's like a safety action on a gun. But why would you want a safety action on it when, it's What they're presuming or expecting is that they don't want everyone to just submit petitions and get flooded with them. They want to make that you have to get something to say, I'm putting a bit of time and thought into this, it's legitimate, and I'm getting some supporters, right? If that's the case, then why are you restricted on your wording? If you want to take it more seriously before you submit them, why aren't you taking more seriously wording on it and extensive information? They kind of think that, everyone's just got pals on Facebook when they can just messenger people, or they've got a big group and, it's easy to get 5 signatures, or your mum or your dad or your brother or whatever. It's not that simple. Some people, some women who have got a community group, right, could throw, they could chuck an old sock in the group and other women would be, tearing it to pieces to have a piece of it, right? They could be sniffing on an old shoe, chewing on a shoe sole. Some of these women knitting clubs command people, but they're still limited. Like this Save the Greenbelt in Manchester. They're desperately trying to save this Greenbelt in Manchester till kingdom come. And they're going to be blowing money on these judicial reviews and lawyers, possibly even 5, 10, 20 grand or even 100, just like Stonehenge Alliance did, and he's still wanting to spend more after he lost his case, after a 3-day trial with 8 barristers and 9 bundles of evidence, and every single archaeologist. They had the evidence of the top archaeologists in the country submitted, the finest information of academic excellence you can get around the subject of Stonehenge, right? And £135,000 worth of lawyers over 3 days, and they lost, right? And now they want another 50 grand to try and get the council orders overturned. As it turns out, if it's a matter of church, state, or law, or actual country, and there might be evidence of some wrongdoing or not following procedure, it turns out that if you get the evidence of 2 witnesses or enough to substantiate that the law has been broken, the Attorney General is going to do it, or Lord Advocate if you're in Scotland, because it's like wrongdoing of government. Why should we have to pay for it? Why should we have to pay for when our government have broke the law? Right? That's the whole point. I mean, why pay for why fund the CPS? Why fund the police? It's almost like someone kicks you in the face, and then you have to pay for it yourself and get a prosecutor when there's the police there. It's the same. Why are we having to pay for a private solicitor for a judicial review when the Attorney General's there? If the local council are in some kind of contempt of the process or procedure, then that's what you pay taxes for, isn't it? If you've got enough to substantiate that they have, and that's why you get you need the evidence of 2 or more witnesses. I'm not saying that you can't do it privately, but what's the point? We've got a GP. That's what the GP's there for. Anyone can get a private doctor. You use the GP because you paid for it, because it's on the NHS. If you've got enough evidence beyond reasonable doubt to show that there's some wrongdoing here, and some of the public sign it, why shouldn't the Lord Advocate or Attorney General bring it? Why should that's why you're getting the signatures, right? When you've got 3,000 signatures from a Save Greenbelt group, and you think that Manchester Council aren't following procedure, right? Your signatures warrant the investigation by the Attorney General, if not a case, right? Because that is not monetary. You've proved it in electors. The electors are the taxpayers, right? And this is what Stonehenge Alliance doesn't understand. And this is what these little community Greenbelt groups don't understand, and who have opposing building. It's different if you just oppose it, right? You could get a lawyer to get a very strong case against why they should build a house in a state. If there's a very strong argument why a housing estate shouldn't be built, right, you can get a lawyer to go into the council with you and present a case to the council in opposition to the applicant, right, who wants to build a housing estate, and his architects, right? Okay, I'm not saying that the council should pay for that, or the government. You're opposing it. The citizens are opposing it. That's when your money comes in. I object, right? I object. But they also hear petitions, which is you're starting to get electoral power then when you get a petition. And that's the point when you're going to be able to defer it to, you can ask for a jury in a higher court, like assizes, which is Crown Court now, or High Court, not the council hear it, or Parliament, or get a local referendum on it from Parliament of your design. If you want to try and design a referendum, apparently you can design one yourself, like putting a bill through Parliament, get the Secretary of State to approve it. So there's lots of things that we're being ripped off by these judicial reviews, because the judicial review is meant to be wrongdoing, and it's actually because it's going to be higher than the they're trying to make out that there's no appeal when there actually is an appeal to a local council. But anyway, why did I say all that? The reason I said all that is because I was just basically saying that women in those sort of groups, yeah, they're struggling to get, they can pull in, 3,000 signatures maybe in local campaigns, but Parliament's not letting them run them on the main Parliament website, so the whole country can suddenly have an interest in it and have it on here, right, for like Save Manchester Greenbelt. They're not letting them do that. And then the other thing is that okay, like those type of groups, right? Anyone who's got a Facebook group, I don't have a Facebook group really, because I don't like being in charge of people. I just like to go in other people's groups. Although I do think people are abusing the powers in those groups. But some of those people have got groups with 900 people in, and the admin's posting all the time, and people get bored of it. They're putting like at everyone all the time, like and so people, if you overuse it, people get bored. Just because you've got a group of 900 people doesn't mean that you can just click your fingers and get 5 people to sign the petition, right? But generally, I do think that women, being female and being slightly different of nature they've got these kind of more tight-knit kind of like little things when they've got women who will just like, whatever they're doing, they'll do it. But they're always trying to get more and more people or more and more money. And they can't usually break this kind of like small local group threshold of which they need, or at least break into the local area outside that group. And this is why all those little groups need to come together and join forces, which they don't seem to be doing, because they've got an immediate interest in their local little emergency, and they've got a life. And, anything outside either their life with their kids and their family and their immediate little emergency in their area, they don't really want to know, and they can't put time into it. So they haven't really got the attention span or will to, all right, we'll get all these little groups together and form them into one and start doing something about it, which they're all almost like marooned if they can't generate any more local interest. And the council are all, now the councils are using these influencer materials, like they're doing, Wakefield Council are putting out, the Regeneration radio show. They're providing entertainment, and it's not like shall we regenerate or shan't we regenerate radio show. It's going to be Regeneration radio show, whether you like it or not. So now the only option is, how shall we regenerate? That's almost like, shall we have, if you have Starmer on GB News, then you've got to have Sunak on, or you're influencing the public. If you're going to have the Regeneration radio programme, then you've got to have the Let's Not Regeneration radio programme, right? Or else it's like you're trying to persuade the public to regenerate. And it's also entertainment, because it's a radio show as well in the format of entertainment. So they're influencing electors, and the council are pedal to the metal. I mean, they're plastering the town and using our taxpayer money, all pro-development, and making it look like everyone agrees with it. And the rugby team's getting in there as well, and the football team, and on the side of the buses and the whole lot. So it's completely and totally, it's like putting one-way arrows down a one-way street. It's like, you will go this way, but for the development of the town centre. And that's why these little local campaign groups who are trying to go against the grain of what the council's desperately trying to do are struggling, to break the little threshold of the people who are trying to get to the wider community, because they're up against the council, and this is what Colchester Council Watch are kind of all about. And they've decided to tackle it head on in the chamber. They've actually decided to get into we're going to do it the proper way. We're going to do it like the proper. Let's follow the rules. Let's follow the procedure. Let's turn up at the council. Let's turn up at the chamber. Let's go to court. Let's argue. Let's speak. Let's engage in proceedings. Let's get things actioned. Which kind of like what I was trying to do with my legal cases. So yeah, I mean, I might have gone into Parliament, earlier on, but at that point, it was difficult to even run it and get people interested because of these online thresholds. You can't, parents, aren't always in line with the rest of their family, for signing things. Also, if you're doing petitions regularly, people get bored of you asking all the time, and then people are, I don't know. You got a list of people on Messenger, but they're all different. Some are from one group, some are from other groups, some are away, some you don't really know that well, some who are like really quite friendly and are up for doing anything. I'll sign it, but you already asked them to sign things multiple times in the past. So it's just like, mixture. So I don't think it's easy to get those 5 signatures. And going back to the subject of when you click on it to open it, yeah, you can't read what it says. And it's obstructive to getting your first 5 signatures. For some people, it's no obstruction at all. It's just like nothing. If they can just get 5 people, they've got 5, absolute, worshipping friends, or, like go to the shop, buy me a pack of cigarettes, or, do this, do that, Not everyone has that, even in groups, which I think's it's a pain in the ass, and it's trying to make out, we need to make this official. We need to make this legitimate. You need to show that you're not just submitting random things. But if that's the case, if they want it to be serious and you've made some sort of effort to get people to support it, then you'd have thought that they'd give you a decent amount of writing to draft it out, something worth having to go out of your way to get 5 people to sign, right? Which is not the case. You can read the petition in the email when you get it, but why not be able to read it when it pops up? I mean, if they're not going to let you get any more than 20 signatures, why does it matter? Why are they so bothered about not letting people see what they're signing when it opens up, even if there is a cap on 20 signatures or 5? Because they're still not going to publish it live until they decide they're going to publish it live. So I don't really see what the problem is. It's blindsiding people, really. And actually, this is a thing that many people have complained about and commented to me. It's like, I don't know what it's about. And then you have to go through the whole rigmarole of saying, well, actually, you can sign it and fill it in, and then you'll get an email, and then you can read that, and then you're not signing until you click it, right? And then they go, okay, then you have to explain that. And then they're not too sure whether you're telling the truth or not. And it's just like, if it just, when you open it, right, it says what it is. You read what it says, and then they sign it, right? Done. And then you get 5 signatures. So, it's just, it feels like the petition committee are just being gits, they're just being annoying, just being gits about it. Like, why don't you just fucking say what the writ is? After heavily restricting what you can write, then why not just show people what you've written straight away in the first 5, and then you can send it off to be published? It seems that they're just being gits, I don't like it. So that's that, so people have got to go through that whole initial phase of getting them sent in. They're restricting the evidence you can put. They're saying that, here, for this European one, right, this petition was rejected, right, because there's already a petition about it, which that is questionable when, like I said, Theresa Villiers was doing, they were debating 2 petitions in one sitting, were both around the similar subject, and a third was giving in evidence. So it seems a contradiction to me. But I do have something to say about this European Union. So that's the one that's rejected so far. They've only got 6. Oh, no, not all petitions. I think that's 7 included that rejected one. So we've got these 6 open petitions currently. Now the top one, this is the thing now, right? So there's this petition about the European Union after the other guy got his rejected. Ironically, after Theresa Villiers had 2 petitions around the same subject debated. So there's something sketchy and dodgy going on there, for sure, right? And the thing about this European Union petition is this, right? Firstly, the person who's done this petition, right, they are really keen and enthusiastic about petitioning Parliament because they've got a Facebook page called Petitioning Parliament, right? I don't know who this person is, but they're very, very exceptionally keen on European Union, right? And enough to run their own Facebook page called Petitioning Parliament. Maybe we could go to it now, but I'll just explain to you if you know Facebook. They've got a Facebook group or page about petitioning Parliament. They're in control of it. It's not the type of page or group where you can post. They decide what gets posted. You can reply and you can put links on there, but they're in full control of the page, right? They post petitions on there if you ask them to, right? They've got control of it. And this person is pro rejoining Europe. I've also had arguments with this person in the past. They seem very biased as well. If you're running a petition page, you must be open to all different types of petitions, right? They're definitely quite obsessive about this subject. How they've got the page set up is that there aren't many groups on there about petitioning, and the ones that are, there's some foreign ones. This group is, whenever you type the word petitioning now, this group is popping up, and they've got the colours of it and the logos to look like the Parliament petitions page, just for the style of it, right? And another thing is this. Whenever you are typing in groups, you know when you tag someone, if you want to tag the admin or if you want to tag someone in the group or mention them, you put the @ symbol and then you tag someone, right? You could tag up to 50 people. This was a really good way to share petitions, because if you had a petition in the group and you wanted to get it to the attention of people, you could tag 50 people and it would send them a notification that you'd mentioned them and they would go see what it was. And I was actually getting a lot of signatures that way. And then suddenly Facebook did something to the website which stopped me being able to do it, and it kept deleting and removing them all the time, and I was doing really, really well. If you just put a petition in a group, you're very, very, very lucky if people will just jump on it and sign it, right? Unless you're a very influential admin or person like Kingsley Hamilton, who everyone, does everything they say, like, stand up, sit down, walk outside like a, pet dog, like, sit, give me paw, sit down, stand up. If you've got someone like that, then they'll just do what everyone sign this, they'll do it. But even then, they don't always do it, because I've actually had, in a group of 83,000 people, I did get admin to share a petition, to share Dave Fowler's petition, which was running at the time. And actually, when I searched the JSON file, I couldn't find my name on it. And I'm like, I'm sure I signed that petition. And then I realised that the names weren't showing up on there in the file. Well, they were at one point, because I was getting loads of names on there, like Smith. I was like, who signed this petition? I couldn't find any of the ULEZ people's names on it. I'm like, I want to check, see if some of these campaigners have signed this, right? I did find some names on there, because I'm sure there was like, Smith. I'm like, search other names. And there was like Smith, Johnson, whatever, like random common names. And now when I search, there is no name. There's just the town, what the postcode was, to prove that it's a person from a certain area. So that's a bit weird. But anyway, so yeah, I got an admin to put the @ symbol at everyone to ask them if they'd sign it. And it was the admin who asked. And it was like the exact same subject and topic that the group was keen on. The entire group exists for that purpose. And we still didn't get that. I think I added about another 1,000 signatures onto it. I think it went up by about 700 to 1,000 signatures after I got the admin to share it for me, on behalf of someone else. So it did actually kind of like doof, like it did like add a noticeable amount onto it. It was something like it added about 750 to 1,000 signatures onto it. He would have had to have keep doing that quite persistently if he wanted to get it up to 20,000. It probably would have done, but that's just an example. So you got 83,000 people in a group. Does not necessarily mean that you're going to get 83,000 signatures. I've always found that if you ask individual people, and if you've been like talking to them a little bit, it's called warm calling as opposed to cold calling. You get people to sign, but it's a lot of work, and the way that Facebook's set up, if you do it too often, you get flagged for spam, or an admin might, give you a bollocking or whatever. So there are lots of annoying obstructions. And on Messenger, the best thing to not disturb people in the group would just be to, go on the group list, go down and just messenger everyone in the group one by one. But Facebook have put a cap on that if you do that, it used to be at 100, now it's less than 50. If you ask less than 50 people to sign a petition in Messenger, they'll ban you for 24 hours from using Messenger, which, you're meant to have the legal right to do it. So that's illegal, and that's Nick Clegg as well, who's responsible for that, because and Zuckerberg and Clegg. So that is an illegal obstruction because it's a form of electronic messaging, like an email or using post. Now, I know that Gmail has got like 150 email a day cap on. It's not exactly bulk email, but they're not banning you. If you use your 150 emails from Gmail and then you use your 150 from Hotmail, that's 300 a day. That's it. You can't send any more in that day, but they don't ban you from using the email for 24 hours. You're not punished for it. What law have you broken? This is the thing. So, going back to this EU thing, the person who set up that petition site is very, very, very clever and very, very cunning. I suspect that it's someone, not Farage, because Farage wanted to leave the EU, didn't he? I think. But, or is Farage wanting to go back in again? I forgot. Let me see. Hold on a minute. Yeah, sorry. I should know this. I don't know why I don't know it, but I got confused. Apparently Farage did want to leave the EU. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I just get the gut feeling that whoever this character is who's got this Facebook page, there's someone kind of like Nigel Farage, elite politician, political party person, but opposed to Farage on the opposite side. Someone who knows what they're doing with Facebook groups, the internet. They could even have hacked Facebook, because how they've got it set up is now whenever you type the word petition in, that page is popping up, like the logo of it, the logo's popping up, and the web page, whatever group you're in now, and if you like ask someone, "Oh, do you want to sign my petition?" as you're typing the word petition out, that is popping up, and he's got quite a few people, might be 10 or 20,000 people following that page, but it seems like he's all about his petitioning and his project, and he's the only person who can post. So it's not really there to promote other people's petitions. It's there to be a petition page that looks like Parliament, that's got a hell of a lot of people following it, and he's putting stuff that he particularly wants to support there. It's a little bit like 38 Degrees, because you can't put money into 38 Degrees and sponsor any particular petition, like on petitions.net. 38 Degrees choose what petitions are given aid and help from the money pool, which I think is extremely biased. It's almost like they're a political party where they claim that it's independent and all policies, but they themselves choose still what gets help. And at the end of the day, it's like that Laura Corrigan, they say they'll help people who are doing well, but people like that Laura Corrigan, they've got loads of students helping them. They don't need help from 38 Degrees. They've got that many people helping them. It's people who aren't getting much help and can't get any help who need help. People who aren't doing very well. Well, 38 Degrees' policies are that, if someone is doing really well, and it start getting prominent, we'll send some emails out and give them some help, which I think that is a bit unfair. You would have thought that it's the people who are really, really struggling, who are finding it difficult to get help, that you would help. And I just don't like the whole way the money is used. It's very sketchy and dodgy, and they're also breaking the law as well by seizing people's evidence and information illegally, when it's actually, if you want to have a petitions website, it needs to be run by the law. And it's not a government department, so they haven't got any actual legal jurisdiction over the cases which they're running. It's almost like if you had a storage unit, like the big yellow storage box, and you've got lockers everywhere, right? That's not your stuff. Okay, you might have a policy or whatever, but ultimately it's not your things. They can only access it. Sometimes it's 24-hour access, but can you imagine if the police had an evidence storage facility which wasn't owned by the government, which wasn't owned by the police or a government department? Let's say that, 38 Degrees owned it, right? They just open a storage unit, but we'll use it for police evidence. Now, what happens if, they fell out with the police and they said, oh, well, you can't have access to your evidence, because, you broke our policy? That wouldn't go down too well, would it? If 38 Degrees had got a big yellow storage unit, right, and it's got people's evidence in there, and then, look, for the police cases, for the Crown Prosecution Service, and they needed to get into one of the lockers, right, to get, a jacket out of it that's got blood on, and then, they went to the reception, and, Robin Priestley said, oh, no, you broke our policy, so, you can't go in there now and get your things, you're banned from the building. Well, we got a court case on Thursday and we need that jacket with the blood on it. Well, the police officer would walk straight back to the court, get a warrant, right, and go straight in there, right, and say, right, he'd break the door down, right? The police, right, he'd go to the court, get a warrant, right, go straight up to the door, and put the window straight through. He'd go in, he'd get he'd get a big pair of wire cutters, and they'd just go in there and get the fucking jacket out, right? That's what happened. So Robin Priestley is not chosen the best type of website to have if he wants to run a petitions website to government independently, because he's messing around with people's legal working cases when they've got videos, statements, writs, things on there which are meant to be sent into the government, right? So he's chose the wrong. If he wants a policy where he thinks that he can just do what he wants, then he's just chose the wrong business. If you don't like dogs, don't open dog kennels, right? If you don't like hair everywhere, don't open a hairdresser's. If you don't like people having the jurisdiction and authority over their things, then don't run a petitioning website. It's quite simple, right? It's easy maths. But oh no, we like petitioning. We're enthusiastic about it. Well, there are laws in place. Then this is the thing. This is the problem with these people. So anyway, back to this. So yeah, there's something definitely dodgy going on with that Facebook petitioning page, because it just very controlled. He's only putting what he wants, but he's got it set up so it's popping up. He's got it cleverly set up so everyone on the whole internet on Facebook types the word petitioning and that pops up. But it's a controlled page that he only chooses what he puts there, and it all seems to rejoin EU. Anyway, he or she is one of the people, because he's obviously very, very keen and enthusiastic about this petitions website, having a page about it on Facebook. He or she is one of the people who have been one of the first to get in there really quick, and be one of the first people to have their petitions up on this new website. Okay? So, like I said, it opened yesterday. It was 3 days. It had been open 3 days. I don't know how many people have submitted petitions. There could be this could be it. No one's noticed yet that it's back up. There might be 1,000, there might be 100, there might be 1,000. I don't know. We don't know. But so far, the Petitions Committee, in the space of 3 days, have managed to check and publish 6 petitions. And the one that's so Now, that means that anyone in the whole of England, when they go to the petitions website on Parliament, they're in a very advantageous position at the moment, because there are only 6 petitions up there, and that's not very many to have to go through and look at. They all fit on the first page. It's not like if there were over 13 or 14 or 20, then it would be split into 2 pages of results, right? And you wouldn't see the second page unless you clicked on it. So you've got this kind of like situation where anyone in the whole country of England, of 60 million people or whatever, who goes onto this website are going to be presented with these 6 petitions and not have to switch to another page if they look at them. So they're all visible to all. So you've got the advantage of pole position, so they say, or you've got the full attention of anyone who goes onto the website. Okay, therefore, this is what we've got in the number of signatures. So it's been open for 4 days or something. And this is what we've got. Now, the one that's got the most signatures at the moment is this EU Union one, right? Now, this is the question. Are all these signatures on these petitions here, are they purely from random visitors to the website? Because you're going to get a percentage of signatures from visitors to the website. Or have they all shared them on social media or asked their friends? Or are they otherwise? Now, I think that this EU petition has probably got a lot of its signatures from its page, because it commands its own Facebook page that is strategically got set up. So when you type the word petition in, it pops up in all manner of groups around the whole of Facebook. So he's pulled in these 5,392 signatures from having an advantageous position on the government website, having an advantageous position on Facebook that most people don't have, and from sharing it himself. So that's 5,392. So he's halfway to getting a government response of 10,000, which is a decent target to reach, right? Although, I don't know, I think some of those UNOS petitions didn't get 100,000 and they still got debated, although they might have combined the signatures together, 2 of them. I think they might have combined 2 of the petitions together to make the 100,000 signatures, because I think one of them is about 55,000. Anyway, so these 6. So then there's one for food, farming and sustainability, right? And that's got 747. Support families by bringing nannies into the 15-30 hours free children scheme. Launch a rail card for those over the age of 30 covering all of the UK. Fund reconstructive surgery of psychosexual therapy for FGM survivors. Quite surprised they published that. But saying that, it's quite an odd petition. But I think that's what Starmer's government are all about. This kind of really odd, weird sexuality type thing issues now. They seem to be all for that. So, it's a type of thing that they're, all this, changing gender and surgery type things is the type of things they're trying to get through. That's only got 83 signatures, though. And then we've got this, maintain the £3 bus fare cap permanently. So that's about travel, a maximum spend on travel for public transport. So that's it, 6. I'd have thought that in 3 days they might have been able to publish and check more than 6, but we don't know how many people have noticed that the website's up yet. I don't know what the backlog is now, whether it's like 50, 100, 200, 300, 1,000. To be honest, I've never thought that really there was that many petitions on here. There's a hell of a lot more interest in it than Australia. The Australian government website really, really didn't have much interest in politics or petitioning. And then suddenly they started getting interested in it after the pandemic. Before the pandemic, there was very few people in Australia doing petitions on their government website. quite small numbers and not that many signatures. It was a bit more of a basic website, but it wasn't like these people are into politics. And then after the whole pandemic and lockdown thing, suddenly there was a lot more petitions. I think England is quite political. We are quite a political country. But even saying that, I don't think that there are huge amounts. And remember, they're rejecting a lot of them. So people are resorting to go to 38 degrees. And people are resorting to do it on change.org. But the only thing with change.org on 38 degrees is that, there's a lot of foreign people on there, and you pick up foreign signatures, which, you don't really want on there because they've got little or no validity. And 38 degrees, you can't put money to advertise it. They've got a monopoly on the promotional aspect of it, and that petitions.net, now they've actually split it into different countries, so you do only get people shown in your country, but it's not a very popular website at the moment, so it's not getting much traffic on there anywhere near 38 degrees or change.org. So this is what we're with, these 6. So I've put 2 through. I've got the 5 signatures now, so it's sent off to be checked, and I submitted 2 petitions. I'm not going to submit loads, although there's quite a lot of things I want to petition about, because I've already done a petition to the House of Lords, and most of the other subjects I know they're going to try and reject because they're going to claim it's got wrongdoing in it or whatever, even though the whole thing is meant to be a complaint or grievance. When you study the archives, National Archives, that's what the whole point is. But going by their current standards and their current rules, these 2 petitions that I've put through, and one of them has already been sent for checking. I think the other one needs 2 more signatures, but it's a real pain to get those 10 signatures. A major pain to have to get those. It's extremely limited on the wording and what actually information you can write on there. You can put links on there, but they nearly always reject it if you put a link on there because they claim it's misinformation. This government doesn't believe that anything is true. It's a good, whatever, you put a link on there and they go, it's misinformation, because it's almost like nothing is true. Nothing in the world is true unless it's published on their government website, And even when I've put links to their websites, like legislation.gov.uk, sometimes they've rejected it, and I'm like, interesting. So you're definitely using up a lot of your words if you put a link on there now. Anyway, if you put a link on there, it's taking up a lot of the other words you can put on anyway. Maybe you should put a PDF file. Maybe they're expecting you to summarize it and then put a PDF link just to one document, but I don't even know if they'll accept that if it's Google Drive or not. Or just if you set up a HTML page, super basic, with just the facts on there, and if all the facts are correct, I still don't know whether they'll accept it or not. Most people don't bother putting links on there. I don't even think Tess Lowry put any links on there when she did hers. But anyway, so there's these 6. So I'm not going to sign that. I'm not going to sign the EU one because we've already had a referendum on it, and I'm sick of hearing about it, to be honest. And I don't even want to have an opinion on it, and I'm definitely not going to touch that one that says something to do with gender and psychosexuality on it. I don't even want to go anywhere near that petition because I don't even know. It's just it's getting too odd now. I might sign this bus fare one, £3 bus fare cap, but I'm not that bothered either way. But if they want signatures, I don't mind helping them out with it, although I'm not that bothered about it myself. I'll give them some champathy, but what champathy am I getting from that? I'm not getting much champathy for it, but I will do the reverse of champathy where, I'll help them if they want some help. Well, that means that you do actually care about the case or cause. If they want to put a £3 cap on bus fare, then good luck to them. I've just been across to the shop and I've bought a can of Diet Coke, right, and it is £1.30p. 80p, yeah, fair enough, but the day that the can of Diet Coke now they're wanting more than £1 is insane. £1.30 for a can of Diet Coke, right? Should be 40p. There needs to be a petition on here for a cap on soda, cans of soda, right? No company or business or gas station or Lidl or whatever should be allowed to charge more than £1 for a tin of soda, right? Unless it's got, like, you know, God's magic ingredients in it, some kind of, like, you know, like a meal drink where you drink it and then you don't need to have anything else all day, you know, like there's nutrition shakes or something like that. Maybe, but just for a tin of Diet Coke, more than £1, you know. Never mind bus fare. I mean, launch a rail card for those over the age of 30 covering all of the UK. I thought they already had a rail card covering the whole of the UK, but over 30, well, probably did have for pensioners, I would have thought, but students have got one. All students get rail cards, don't they? So they've kind of got one for students, which most young people either are students. 93 signatures. I don't oppose it, but I'm like, you might as well be everyone. But doesn't everyone have a rail card? Launch a rail card for those age of 30, over the age of 30. But most students have got if they use a train, don't they most students get a discount anyway? And if you're over a certain age, you get one anyway. So, like, who's not going to have one? I mean, that means you're going to get the people... Is it going to be a discount rail card or what? The government should create a rail card for those over the age of 30. It seems unfair and unjust that the people aged 16 to 30 may get a rail card. But after this cut-off, it's not possible to get a rail card unless you're a senior. All right, so there is some sort of monetary thing to it. So, like, I mean, so basically they're just trying to fill the gap in so, you know, everyone can have a discount rail card. Well, you might as well... If every other age range besides this has got a rail card which concurs some kind of concession or discount or benefit, then what's the point in having a rail card? Because you might as well just say, well, if every age group's covered for a rail card for some kind of concession or discount, then that means everyone's getting one. So what's the point in having all the plastic rail cards made which cost money? You might as well just say, right, we're, you know, reducing the either tax or cost of rail travel. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any point. So, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that I won't sign it, but it's like, I mean, I don't see the point. Support families by bringing nannies into the 15-30 hours free childcare scheme. I don't know anything about that. Well, they're going to tell us now. There seems to be a lot more writing there than what I put in my petition. How much writing have they got there? How many words is there? How many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There seems to be twice as much writing in that bottom part. It looks a lot more text to what I put in mine, or maybe it just looks more because they've put spaces in it. Maybe because they split into 3 paragraphs it looks more, but it can't be that much more. We believe working practices demand flexible childcare and nannies uniquely meet these needs. For example, they may often be the only childcare solution for families with special needs, including Ofsted nanny scheme, engaging in a valuable childcare resource. Is this not synonymous or tying with what Ed Davey is meant to be wanting to do? Ed Davey was wanting to do something for carers, wasn't he? Ed Davey was wanting some kind of... Yeah, I think this is the type of thing that Ed Davey was talking about. So I do know a little bit about what's going on. I wonder if Ed Davey started this or one of his Lib Dem colleagues. But at this stage, I don't think it says. So, I guess I'll probably sign that. It's got 229 signatures on it. Embed food and so there's one of these. Everyone's talking about this farming issue now through a lot of the groups, a lot of the ULEZ groups. Embed food farming and sustainability education into the national curriculum. All right, so that's a little bit like agricultural college then. We are calling for the government to food sustainability education for making the gap deprived students from understanding. So that's kind of like this is like, they've got an agricultural college in Cirencester. I used to go past it quite often, or not that often, but maybe once every week or two. And they've also got one as well, sort of Bury St Edmunds kind of area, not far from that sugar beet thing refinery. There's an agricultural college there, which is like all flatlands, a farming college. It's quite interesting because that one is like complete and totally flatlands of England, and then the one in Cirencester is like the Cotswolds. And I think there's a little airport as well up on the top. So around that kind of area, it's all like all the traditional Cotswolds, dry stone walling, and Cirencester town, and all the kind of foggy nooks and crannies of England. And they've also got the Common on the top as well, which is a really interesting place, like on the top by Stroud as well, on the top of the Common. I think it's in between Stroud and Gloucester. So yeah, I mean, they're proper agricultural colleges and universities where actually farmers go to learn. It's not just like your parents are farmers and then, you're just pottering around on the farm and, take your tractor license and then, learn from the family and, moving cows around. You can actually get a qualification in it, so that it's wanting to bring it into national curriculum. So they're wanting to actually bring it to schools. That would be quite interesting because you could like a lot more planting things and maybe working on allotments and learning about growing plants and natural foods like growing vegetables and fruits and learning about how plants actually grow and a bit about the land as well, land management and thing. That's a little bit like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was wanting to do with some of the reoffenders programs. Is wanting to get not reoffenders, wanting to get offenders put on programs like that for community service, to learn about growing plants and working on agriculture, instead of as a type of community service. So it's he's wanting to do that actually with people who are being involved in crime, but on quite a bit of a large scale around America. So that's actually I probably might sign this thing. That's quite a good idea. In fact, that's a brilliant idea. It's actually a really, really good idea. It's a really, really good idea for a petition. So I probably will sign that. So there is 6. So if mine get published, then depending on how many other people have submitted them and in what order they do them, it's a very good chance that mine might get a good visibility or seen. Although it would have been better if I'd have known they'd have opened it 3 days ago and I would have been able to get on there. If I'd have been on this page now, I'd be doing quite well. Because mine is actually about the petition's website itself and making it better. And I think everyone would want the petition's website to be better and be able to write more words. And also about the proper law that's in use with it. And then there's a petition about how you share these petitions on social media and certain things that are happening, which I think that are obstructive to it, and possibly even where the platform's policies are interfering with the law of England. Which I think and also I've quoted lots of legislation in there, which I think people should know about and be interested to learn. And if you see it on there, you might think, oh, that's interesting. I might go like Google that or type it or look it up and learn about it, which, is showing people why certain things should be done or why they should support it. And to be honest, those 2 petitions that I've submitted, what I'm asking for is well within the powers of the committee to do. He's addressing government things that are responsibility of the government. There's nothing sketchy or dodgy in there. What I'm asking for can be done, and I only refer or use information which is actual government law and acts which exist, which I wanted to raise relevance to or draw to their attention. So there's not really any. If they reject those 2 petitions that I've put through, there's no real argument, there's no real justification for them to be rejected. There's no legitimate grounds for rejection, because everything I haven't put anything on there which isn't government information already, and I'm asking for something which is well within what the committee deals with and does, and we've got the right to collect signatures on it, So if they reject those, then it's kind of ridiculous. Now, I don't know how many petitions are waiting to be checked, because, if there are 100, then by the time they get to mine, I'm definitely not going to be on this first page. But depends how many people have noticed that the petitions committee is opened again, and how many others are going to get rejected besides that one that's been rejected. We don't know. So it's quite an interesting time at the moment, because depending on how many are in the queue before me, and depending on whether they come up with a completely fabricated excuse to reject mine, which it is impossible for there to be a reasonable or logical excuse which isn't absolute tosh, which means they've got to lie and make up an excuse and say that it doesn't meet their standards. There's no such thing as a standard, it doesn't exist. It must meet their standards because it's all their legislation and the information, and it's something that they deal with. And actually, I'm questioning their standards. I'm challenging their standards. So it definitely meets the standards if it challenges the standards. So I guess we'll see. There's 6 there. So I might sign 1 or 2 of these. I think, it's not just, there are some people who come on this website who are like in the academic sector, like Professor Tim Wilson, or lawyers, or academics, or students who are actually interested in information and learning. And that's why it's good to be able to put good, strong evidence up there, because it gets them interested in it as well. It's not just, people who are complaining about the environment, or, Tommy Robinson, or whatever type actions, where it's just mainly more, football supporter type people who don't necessarily have an interest in law itself, or, the history of England or Parliament or anything like that. It could be someone who works as a curator at a museum. Those type of people do quite intellectual or interesting petitions, like Professor Dr. Tess Lowry type people like that, and all her colleagues, John Campbell, people like that. Those circles as well do petitions. So, that's, I think, why my 2 petitions, it's important to try and get them up quick. So I hope there's not too many people in the queue before me who are waiting to get them put on there, and I hope that they don't get rejected.